Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I'm San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, and I want to start this morning by acknowledging that we stand on unceded territory of the Kumeyaay Nation. Today, the Kumeyaay people continue to maintain their political sovereignty and cultural traditions as vital members of our San Diego community. We acknowledge their tremendous contributions to our region and thank them for their stewardship. I want to also start by acknowledging that I'm joined by what is truly an all-star cast of San Diegans who are doing big and important things that we want to celebrate today. Starting off, of course, with our Senate President Pro Tem, Tony Atkins, who represents this district. Senator, thank you. We have multiple members of the Assembly, starting with Brian Mainshine, Chris Ward, Dr. Akilah Weber, and then we have a large number of our members of our City Council, led, of course, by our incredible City Council President, Sean Rivera. Council President. Council President Pro Tem and the district representative of the district we're in today, Monica Montgomery Stepp. And then my good friends, Dr. Jennifer Campbell, Stephen Whitburn, and Raul Campillo. A couple other folks that I want to make sure you know are with us this morning is from the office of Governor Gavin Newsom. Maurice Lyles is here. Maurice, thank you so much, and thank you to the governor. Lisa Schmidt, who's the district director for Assemblymember David Alvarez, is here. Where's Lisa at? Well, there she is. I see her now. Misty Jones, our director of our San Diego Library System. Misty, thank you. Everywhere we go, that's what happens. And we have numerous members of the Oak Park community who are here. They are very excited to see the fruits of their incredible efforts over a very long period of time. Give it up for the people of Oak Park. And if I may have the privilege, I just want to acknowledge Alita Chavez is here amongst the Oak Park residents. Alita, thank you for your incredible leadership. So, let's get to it. We are here at the Oak Park Library to highlight some of the San Diego programs and projects that received millions of dollars in the state budget signed just last month by Governor Newsom. Thank you to the governor and to the state legislature and their responsible fiscal leadership. The state had the opportunity to invest in local communities up and down the coast of California, including right here in San Diego. Now, I acknowledge not everyone always understands how these tax dollars make their way back to here in San Diego. Let me explain a little bit. The city of San Diego, along with the county and other local cities and agencies, nonprofit organizations, and others, communicate regularly with members of our state delegation about the critical needs in our communities. And our delegation, our senators and assembly members, who are phenomenal, then go about working with the governor and legislative leaders to make specific funding requests. This year, our region is receiving nearly $500 million for regional priorities, thanks to the great leadership of our state delegation. The single largest allocation in our region is $300 million for the Lausanne Rail Corridor to improve transit connectivity between San Diego and points north along our coast, as well as to advance climate adaptation and resiliency efforts along the Del Mar Bluffs. As mayor of this great city, I'm pleased to announce that the city of San Diego is receiving a total of $68.5 million for 19 different projects that will improve quality of life in our communities and enhance access to critical community services such as libraries, parks, and other city programs. I am especially thrilled that this funding will reach all corners of our city. All 9 city council districts have projects that will receive state funding thanks to the efforts of our state delegation. These dollars are a testament to the high-quality representation that we are so fortunate to have amongst our state senators and our state assembly members. Their leadership in Sacramento is delivering for San Diego. Now, the biggest of all of the City of San Diego projects funded, and the reason why we're here today, is the construction of a new Oak Park branch library. Media's picking up on. This is a big deal. If you don't know, now you know. The people of Oak Park want this library, and because of the state and the funding, this is going to happen. The state delegation is providing $20 million for the construction of this project. And no one has been a stronger champion for this project and so many others across San Diego than our very own Senate Leader, Tony Atkins. Now, of course, she would be the first to say it's not her alone, and I want to point out that in addition to Senator Atkins' incredible leadership, Assemblymember Weber has been a fierce champion for this project and part of why we're able to stand here today. Thank you, Akila. I know that Assemblymember Weber and Council President Pro Tem Monica Montgomery Stepp have also been working together on this project with the community, and they'll both get into more specifics about these projects and the positive impact they'll have here in Oak Park very soon. I just want to express my gratitude to our state delegation, as well as to the many leaders here in Oak Park. I was reminded on the way in about being in the Oak Park school here just a little bit ago, and you all were very clear that you wanted this library done. You were very, very clear. And we're back here, right? Yes. Getting this done. This is what government is supposed to do. Listen closely to the community, put their requests to work, and bring home the resources to get the job done. And that's what we're celebrating today. So to the friends of the Oak Park Library, thank you for your tireless advocacy for this project and getting us to this incredible day. So there are so many competing needs in our community, too many for local governments and our strapped budgets. And that's why it's so critical that we have effective representation in the state capitol to help us get these projects done for the people and for our communities. Our speakers this morning will highlight the many projects that they've helped to bring state funding for, so I won't go through the entire list. But for now, I'd like to invite the leader of our state Senate to say a few words. And I ask all of you, please express your appreciation to this phenomenal leader. We would not be here if it was not for her talent, for her leadership, for her commitment, for her hard work. Senator Atkins has been a fierce advocate for San Diego dating back to long before our elected office. And what we've seen is a once-in-a-generation leader. You don't have someone too often who is both the leader of the Assembly and the state Senate. In fact, it's only happened 3 times in history. She's the 3rd time it's happened. You're standing in the presence of history, and what she's chosen to do is take her power and use it for the benefit of communities like Oak Park and neighborhoods all across the city of San Diego. I cannot thank her enough. I could literally stand here at this podium and say thank you over and over again for the next 24 hours. It would be insufficient to match the level of commitment that she has brought to our city. So I just ask you to collectively put your hands together and give a warm Oak Park welcome to our Senate President Pro Tem and my friend, Tony Atkins.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Mayor Gloria, I'm taking you with me everywhere I go. It is incredible to be with you here today, and I want to underscore the opening comments of Mayor Gloria paying tribute to the Kumeyaay Indians and the sovereignty. I want to underscore his comments about this incredible group of people with me here today. I was going to acknowledge each of them, but he did that for me. I want to thank him for that because I will tell you, this is a partnership. It is an incredible partnership. And never before in the history have I seen such cooperation amongst the delegation in Sacramento of Assembly members, senators, with this city council and this leadership. And we do it because you, the community, expect it, you ask for it, and you work with us as partners every step of the way. Assemblymember Weber and Council President Pro Tempore Montgomery Stepp, we promised you we would be back here in Oak Park. This is our 3rd visit to this library to bring resources home for this community. And I want to thank the residents of Oak Park, the friends of the library for your tenacity, you're sticking to it, and you're working with us. So today is a great day. And the mayor also did some of this, but I just want to make a few points. Before I talk specifically about state funding for local projects, I want to briefly just give you a statewide overview of the budget recently approved for 2022-23, this fiscal year. This year's budget is an historic moment for California. It truly is. Our economy continues to grow, and because of our voter-approved revenue systems, the wealthy pay their share, making record amounts of funding available. The state's fiscal health made it possible for us to provide transformational investments in critical programs across the state. The total spending of over $300 billion, with $234 billion from our general fund. And thanks to the over a decade of fiscally responsible Democratic leadership, we have committed close to $38 billion towards record reserves in our state, which is going to help us when our state needs to withstand economic challenges in the future. $38 billion. We know that many families are feeling the strain of high prices at the pump and at the store. We've dedicated over $17 billion in fiscal relief to Californians, small businesses, and nonprofits to help alleviate some of the burden created by inflation and to assist utility customers with past due electricity bills incurred during the COVID pandemic. This includes $9 billion as direct tax rebate to over 17 million Californians. The specific amount each taxpayer will receive is determined by how much they make and whether they have any dependents. The total rebate can be anywhere from $200 to $1,050 per household. The budget includes $47 billion in infrastructure investments for everything from schools and libraries to broadband and shoring up safety for dams and apartment buildings, seismic retrofits. One of our top priorities will always be education at all levels. This year's budget includes historic levels of funding through K through 12 and substantive funding increases for community colleges, the CSU and UC systems, including significant enhancements to student financial aid. Another top priority is, of course, addressing California's housing crisis. The budget includes $2 billion for developing affordable housing projects throughout our state. It also includes $500 million to create the California Dream for All program, a new initiative that I proposed which will allow the state to assist first-time homebuyers by providing up to 20% toward the purchase of a price of a home through a shared equity partnership. At the local level, our budget includes, as the mayor said, almost $485 million for projects and programs within the San Diego region. And of course, the largest he mentioned, the Los Angeles Realignment Rail Project in Del Mar, second busiest inner-city rail corridor in the nation. It plays a critical role in the movement of people and goods within the Southern California region. He talked about $69 million for the city of San Diego, projects that are highlighting today. You see the sign. My colleagues are going to mention a number of them. But for the city and many other agencies in the region that are going to benefit, including SANDAG, the Regional Task Force for the Homelessness, the Maritime Museum of San Diego, the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, Promise to Kids, and the Partnerships for Advancement of New Americans, to name just a few. By looking at this budget through an equity lens, we were able to prioritize in all parts of our city, with an emphasis on underserved communities. Over $29 million of city funding goes towards parks and recreational services, which are critical to creating livable communities, including community parks and recreation centers, trail improvements, coastal and beach access. Libraries, near and dear to my heart. Another key component of livable communities, which is why almost $28 million of funding will go towards libraries, including the construction of this Oak Park Library, which will replace the library where we are gathered today. I love library patrons. Another $7 million would go towards the restoration and renovation of historic buildings such as Via Montezuma, the Marston House, and the San Diego Natural History Museum. I'm happy to share that the San Diego Urban Sustainability Coalition and the Your Safe Space Family Justice Center are also included in funding going into this city. San Diego is the 8th largest city in the United States and the 2nd largest in California. We contribute significantly to the state's economy, but we also have significant needs. These regional budget wins, which are a result of a great collaboration between my Assembly and Senate colleagues in our San Diego delegation and the offices of the mayor and the city council members, and with governmental agencies and nonprofits throughout the San Diego region, will go a long way in meeting our region's needs. And I also want to thank Governor Newsom, and am so glad his representative is here today. And now it is my incredible pleasure to introduce my friend, Assembly Member Dr. Akilah Weber.
Good morning. I'm Assembly Member Dr. Akilah Weber, and I represent the Assembly District that we're all standing in today, the 79th Assembly District. Thank you, Senate Pro Tem Tony Atkins, for your fierce leadership, your advocacy, and securing funds for all of the districts in the city of San Diego. And a very special thank you for championing significant projects right here in the 79th Assembly District. And good morning, and thank you to Mayor Todd Gloria for making sure that San Diego always has a seat at the table and a piece of the pie. One of my priorities in the Assembly is to identify funding needs in our district, submit budget requests, and advocate for projects to be included in the state budget. California's strong budget is a testament to our state's resilient economy. Our residents and taxpayers have endured so much, and I am pleased that this budget reinvests in the people and in our communities. Specific to my district, I am elated that more than $51 million will be allocated to several infrastructure and recreational projects across Assembly District 79. I want to take a moment to highlight what these budget wins mean in the real world to the communities that make up my district. Let's begin with looking at this library. This library has meant so much to this community. In fact, this was my library growing up, as I lived just a few blocks behind us, and I can remember walking to this library to either check out books or participate in many of the activities that they provide for the residents and the kids in this area. For the last 53 years, it has served as a source of enlightenment to thousands of students, educators, and the families of the communities of not only Oak Park, but Webster and also Chollas Creek. So today, with the allocation of $20 million for the construction of a new Oak Park Library, these communities will get a state-of-the-art library and computing learning center that they most desperately deserve and need. And as a physician, I am laser focused on health and wellness, and this year's investment of over $6 million to parks and recreation centers in our district will result in healthier residents and provide much needed activity centers for our youth. San Diego is also a welcoming home to one of the largest refugee populations in the county. The $3 million allocated to the County of San Diego in partnership for the advancement of New Americans for a refugee and cultural hub will support the specific economic and social needs of new Americans and ease their family integration into their new life in San Diego while accelerating their independence. And the final example I'm particularly proud of is the $2 million to the Central San Diego Black Chamber of Commerce for the Urban Business Resource Center. We know that small businesses are the largest community employers, and the Black Chamber of Commerce provides business management training, seed funding, and ongoing mentorship to Black entrepreneurs, which will return back to our city many times over through development of thriving enterprises and job opportunities. These are just a few examples of the tremendous wins for the families in our community. Thank you to City Council Pro Tem Monica Montgomery Stepp and City Council President Sean Elo Rivera, who met with me about our local government budget priorities. They will share with you the budget wins for the City Council Districts 4 and 9. And so now let me introduce my friend and my colleague, City Council Pro Tem Monica Montgomery Stepp. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Weber, for your introduction and most of all for your advocacy for our community, the community that we grew up in, that we now have the honor of representing. So thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's an exciting day. We don't get these every day, so we are going to take it in. I want to start by thanking Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins for being consistent, for being a fierce advocate in ways that we see and ways that we don't see, and for recognizing the need for a more equitable plan that reaches historically underserved neighborhoods. I agree that we must approach funding projects with an equity lens, and I'm happy that we're here today to celebrate the largest win of all, a win for our San Diego community. As chair of the Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods Committee, I believe we can and must do more for our residents to improve their most critical resources. Much of this starts with funding our libraries and parks and creating economic opportunities for everyone. Together, we are facilitating changes that invest in improving the quality of life for every San Diegan. And this means partnering with our community to ensure we hear their needs. I'm so proud that state leaders recognize and reflect that commitment to ensuring we can meet that need. We can't do it alone, but we can do it together. I know you have all heard everyone mention the Oak Park Library funding, but it deserves to be mentioned over and over and over again. This win deserves recognition and celebration. Over the years, my office and state partners have worked with Oak Park community members to navigate the process of funding a brand new library. From the land use feasibility study to tirelessly advocating for inclusion in last year's state and city budget, we have come a long, long way. In government time, a short amount of time. I would be remiss if I didn't specifically mention, and I'm gonna not mention a few names, so I hesitate to do this, but I have to mention Elita Chavez. Yes, she's all the way in the back. And also Michael and Stephanie Heinzman, also for their advocacy. I see Miss Claudia Thompson as well. And every single member of the Friends of the Oak Park Library and volunteers, those who have advocated nonstop for this funding and resource. These types of wins typically happen long after an elected official leaves office, but I am so proud and honored and humbled to say that when we came into office, our first step was to try to make this on the CIP list, which it was not on. So although the community had been advocating for decades, we took the process and the bureaucracy and made it work for the community. I'm so honored and proud of that. Community, we all here, our all-star cast, have heard you. And our state partners recognize your work in investing these $20 million in securing your new library, our new library. Our communities deserve hubs of knowledge and culture that are gateways to literacy formation and essential service to our communities alike. Access to public libraries is a fundamental right for our constituents. And that's why I'm also happy to recognize the additional $7 million to fund some of our other local libraries in University City, San Carlos, and Ocean Beach, which you have representatives here today from the City Council. As another reflection of the commitment to equity, our city is receiving $3.3 million for the San Diego Urban Sustainability Coalition office building that will go in District 4's Valencia Business Park. And this coalition is essential to creating pathways to environmental, economic, and social well-being in our underrepresented communities. So again, thank you to all of those who ensure we remember to prioritize our underserved communities. And with that, speaking of advocacy, I would like to introduce and continue our celebration by introducing my friend and my colleague, Council President Sean Elo Rivera.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. And I'm so glad you referenced it as a celebration. Sometimes these are press conferences, and to be honest, not much more than that. This very much is a celebration. It has the energy of a celebration, and with good reason. Not only do we have major wins for this community and Parks and Recreation, but we also have wonderful investments coming to my district, including $600,000 for the Mountain View Sports Court renovations, $4 million for Clay Park. And as Dr. Weber was saying, and Council President Pro Tem, these investments are investments that are not just about the physical structures that will be built, but the human beings, the people, the communities, the families who will be better off for it. The investment in this library and the others throughout the city, we don't know what young people who will walk into those libraries and become our next doctors or our next lawyers, like Council President Pro Tem. And so it's an opportunity not just to celebrate what's happening now, but what will happen in the future as a result of this. And we know that none of this, as has been mentioned before, can happen without incredibly effective state leadership. And so I will also heap some praise upon our President Pro Tem of the Senate, Senator Atkins. You're running the whole state Senate, and you still take the time to check in with our office when important decisions are being made. I know that you don't have to do that, and I very much appreciate it. And I think your leadership has modeled something that we see from Assembly Members Ward and Mainshine and Dr. Weber in making sure that there is a great line of communication between our state delegation and our council members. And the result is an incredible list of investments. Many have been mentioned already. And I think that, kind of stepping back for a second, I'm going to take a moment to heap some praise on my colleagues on the council and brag on them for a minute, because if they weren't as connected to their districts and their communities as they were, these investments wouldn't be as meaningful as they are. They could have went anywhere. And so the fact that I know that my colleagues like Councilmember Campillo and Whitburn and Campbell and Council President Pro Tem, that they are always the squeaky wheels that their communities need them to be. San Carlos Library. Every time there's a chance, Raul mentions it, right? And Dr. Jen did the same thing for the Ocean Beach Library, and Councilmember Whitburn does it as well, especially when it comes to ensuring that there's investments in solving homelessness. And that relationship, that advocacy on and with community members at the local level really helps ensure that the incredible work that's happening at the state level has the most deep and meaningful impact possible here at the local level. And then, none of that would really make a difference if we didn't have a leader at the mayoral level who was committed to taking those investments and turning that into action. So that 360-degree relationship between our state leadership, our council, and our mayor, Mayor Gloria, really helps ensure that that the investments made at the state level really do have the impact of transforming the lives that we want them to have. And so with that, I'm going to step back, but I want to make sure that we have one more opportunity to celebrate the advocates who made this happen. I think about the work that I did prior to being elected to council, and it can be so hard sometimes to get these investments into a community. It can take generations of advocacy. And I know that was the case to get this to this point today. And so for all of you who advocated for this library, if you can raise your hands, and all of us can take a moment to appreciate those efforts. We even got a cameraman raising his hand. Yes. Because, and this is, I think actually that's a great example, right? We all benefit from investments like this. And so thank you all for your advocacy. Council President Pro Tem, thanks for being a leader who is connected to your community in such a way where we can take that energy and turn it into these investments. Super proud to be here. Incredibly grateful to the fellow leaders who are up here. And with that, I'd like to introduce my friend, Assemblymember Brian Mainshine.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. It's great to be out here today for this celebration. I'm certainly very proud to have secured nearly $20 million for various programs and projects throughout San Diego. I'm pleased to report that we obtained $7 million for the City of San Diego's Park and Recs Department to help a number of parks throughout the City of San Diego make much needed upgrades to facilities, including improvements for ADA requirements that will enhance and benefit so many in our community. I also helped to secure $10 million for the San Diego Workforce Partnership, a nonprofit that equips job seekers with the essential skills to help them become assets to local businesses. The San Diego Workforce Partnership programs that we are funding will help a diverse group of participants, approximately 90% of whom are women and people of color. This funding will help the San Diego Workforce Partnership provide invaluable opportunities for individuals seeking careers in public administration and the healthcare sector. I also earmarked $1 million for the San Diego Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and these funds will help the task force on their very important task of continuing their technological advances in the fight to combat sexual exploitation and abuse against children. And then finally, proud to report about $500,000 that will go to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park to construct a dip tank, which will help our region's first responders with a reliable source of water in the event of a wildfire. As somebody whose council district was affected by wildfires, this resource is hugely important, and to have that asset out there that now we'll be able to make use of can help stop these wildfires before they get started. And I want to say something too. I'm really pleased, and I want to recognize the state delegation that I have the honor of working with. You know, we're not as large as Los Angeles and San Francisco, but I think it's very fair to say that we have fought well above our weight. I'm grateful for the long-term relationships we have. Senator Atkins and I served on the city council together nearly 20 years ago. I had all my hair then. It was the good old days. And then, of course, Assembly members Weber and Ward, who have been so outstanding in such a short period of time. And it's great to help a mayor and council who want to do things for the community. We're blessed to have Mayor Todd Gloria as the mayor of our city. He has advocated so strongly up in Sacramento for not just this, but for so many other things. And it's very important that we have his representation up there, and the respect in which he is viewed up there has been significant in getting this money. And it's great to work with a phenomenal city council. Shawnilo Rivera, Monica Montgomery Stapp, Raul Campillo, Stephen Whitburn, and Dr. Jen Campbell, all of whom at various times have made it clear that they want to do things within their community, and they've delineated what they are, so we at the state can help provide that funding. So having a great mayor and council makes this day that much better. So I'm proud of the investments we've made. We want to do more, and we're going to continue to do more up in Sacramento. I'm confident these allocations will really benefit people here in our city. And with that, I'm very pleased to introduce my friend and my colleague, Assemblymember Chris Ward.
Thank you, Assemblymember Mainshine. I said, my name is Chris Ward. I'm the Assembly member for the 78th Assembly District. Many of our wonderful City of San Diego neighborhoods to our west, a lot of the urban neighborhood and the beach-facing communities. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And of course, as was said, you know, we're really here to celebrate so many of these historic investments for the San Diego neighborhoods. Historic because of the resources that we had to be able to work with. Before I get to some of those as well, I wanted to highlight and underscore, as Senate President Pro Tem briefly did as well, you know, some of the bigger picture things that we were working on with the state budget. And just to get on just a few, because there were so many, knowing that over $9 billion in rebate checks are coming to San Diego families this fall, that is going to be so important to help them wherever inflation has hit their pocketbooks and their family budgets, whether it's gas or groceries or rent. Help is on the way, and we are really proud to be able to fight and work with our governor to make sure that that was fixed in the state budget as well. Record budgets, of course, that are going to help all San Diegans. Senate President Pro Tem mentioned our investments in the rainy day funds and some of the other areas of security that we have. That is so important because if and should we face an economic downturn, we do not want to have to make any significant cuts, any cuts at all, to our social safety net, to the support for our cities and our neighborhoods. So we're really grateful that we are on more solid footing to be able to do that in years going forward. California is now the first state to make sure that all individuals have access to health care. Can we celebrate that? Because all families that I'm looking at here will not have to fear about the bills that sometimes are coming into their mailbox. And to be able to support women's reproductive health care to respond to today's dangerous, life-risking political climates. We heard about the housing and homelessness investments. So yes, across the board, between that, climate and energy resources to work on water and drought resiliency, electrical vehicle infrastructure, and so much more to address today's challenges, the state delegation is delivering. But for the San Diego region, we've got a lot of things to celebrate for the 78th Assembly District. $6 million for the new San Diego State Mission Valley campus to support a park and bike path improvement project to the main campus. You can clap for that. I like to hear it. Aztecs likes to hear it. It's going to be an important link that's going to help connect the Mission Valley to the main campus, but also for the general community to increase their pedestrian and bicycle safety and improvements. A huge win. We've got $5 million on our San Diego Bay waterfront to support the Maritime Museum, a huge institution offering historical and educational opportunities for families across San Diego to come enjoy many of their features. We heard about $1.3 million going to repairs and improvements at the San Diego Natural History Museum. And of course, we've been celebrating many of our parks and recreation facilities. I want to highlight over $2 million to the South Claremont Recreation Facility as well. Just outside the city of San Diego, but I love them because they're a great and mighty city within the 70th Assembly District. Over $7 million to help support the needed issues that we have at the Tijuana River that are facing the city of Imperial Beach. And there's more coming that we will fight for that. And lastly, I'll highlight, because we very much appreciate our higher education institutions and we know how housing is a challenge for everybody, but it's particularly a challenge for our college students, a $100 million investment to UC San Diego for the Pepper Canyon West Living and Learning Neighborhood Center. That's going to support 1,300 additional residences on campus for that campus life to fulfill their vision, and construction begins this summer because of the funding there. So this was truly a collaboration. I'm going to echo something that Council President Rivera had said. Because we're out there as your representatives engaging with community leaders and we're talking with our council members, this has truly been a collaboration that we can celebrate today to be able to deliver these wins here in the state budget during these very fortunate times. But I want to really also echo and underscore that you have no better advocate for City of San Diego neighborhoods than Mayor Todd Gloria, who himself personally, clap for Todd Gloria, because we've seen that. We've engaged with that. He has been up to our offices. I'm the assistant majority leader. I know he's been meeting with the assembly leadership, talking with our budget chairs on both houses, talking directly to the governor and his key administration officials himself. We are happy to be able to deliver this, but it is because he is also doing that advocacy, and I know he will implement so many of these dollars right out into our neighborhoods that we have reason to look forward with optimism here today. He is delivering on a big city that is going to work for all people. And with that, I'm going to turn the podium back over to our mayor, Todd Gloria.
Well, thank you, Assemblymember Ward. I am your final speaker. Let me just let you know right now there are some refreshments inside. Alita was saying you got to come in and have this stuff. She didn't put this out for no reason. You need to come in, and there's some air conditioning in there, which I know you need. But Assemblymember Ward, thank you for those generous comments. You know I'm from the TLC School of Lobbying. I ain't too proud to beg. I'm happy to go up to Sacramento and get that money for us. I know our council members feel the exact same way. But, you know, critical in this operation is our government affairs team. You all love Misty and the library folks. You love Andy Field and the park people. But we have Adrian Granda and the government affairs folks who's here. Adrian in the back. He and his folks, the best ROI for any department for bringing dollars back. You've already heard a lot about from the state, and we're not even done with the feds yet, right? President Biden gave us the infrastructure bill. We're currently working to lobby to bring those dollars to San Diego, put San Diegans to work to make investments in our community, and I have great partners in the city council to get that done. And let me just say, for the press who's here, we haven't even listed everything that was in this budget. I mean, there are other projects that will be transformational in other parts of the city, but we tried to give you a taste of what's there, and I hope the takeaway is that these folks, our state legislators, are absolutely delivering. And please, let me just take a moment to acknowledge the fact that Senator Ben Hueso, Assemblymember David Alvarez, and my friend Assemblymember Tasha Berner-Horvath are also members of our state delegation. Couldn't get them here today, but don't make no mistake, they are absolutely critical to these wins that we've had for our communities, and I hope that you'll take a moment and thank them for me as well. So I want to land the plane with a special announcement. I was sharing with my friend Tony Atkins recently when I was sort of thinking through all the investments in this budget and in previous state budgets that she has made for our community. I think that it is without a doubt no one in this country has done more for public libraries in San Diego than Senator Tony Atkins. Would you agree with me? There have been wonderful, wonderful people who have done things like the Jacobs family who gave us our new central library, John Spreckles who built wonderful small neighborhood libraries 100 plus years ago. But here we are in 2022 with a woman who is helping to make sure that we get a new library here, that we get a new library in San Carlos, a new library in Oak Park. You see what she has done time and again, and it seems only right that we mark her contribution with a special recognition. So I want to let you know, in working with our library director, the fabulous, the extremely popular Misty Jones, Missy and I will be forwarding my request to our library commissioners to name the community room in this new Oak Park Library the Tony G. Atkins Community Room. Let it always be known who brought this library to our city. We will get that done, Tony. With that, that concludes our presentation. Can I ask the folks to put your masks on, let's take a big group photo, and then let's go inside and get some of Alita's refreshments, okay? Thank you, everybody.